Simcoe County is heading into 2026 facing significant budget pressures, economic uncertainty, and growing demand for essential services, from inflation and US tariffs to labor shortages and shifting funding models. Municipalities across the region are being forced to make difficult financial decisions. The county provides a range of critical services including affordable housing, long-term care, childcare, social services, and paramedic response, many of which are purchased by municipalities from Barrie to Midland. As costs rise and needs increase, maintaining service levels while balancing local and regional priorities remain one of the county's biggest challenges. Fallis, Orillia Councillor and representative at Simcoe County, outline the challenges and complexity of maintaining these services.
There's a couple of different services that the county provides that the city purchases. So affordable housing, social services, long-term care, daycare has actually become a service in the last year or so that the county has really taken responsibility for, that's funded through different levels of upper government tiers. One of the big things that we take into consideration at the county level is on the affordable housing front and really make some big steps in trying to address those issues. So I would say there's certainly opportunities where we could move that a little bit further.
During the budget discussions, county officials and Simcoe County Council also highlighted the challenges and need to improve services. Following are the interview and coverage of the important budget deliberation.
There's a couple of different services that the county provides that the city purchases. So affordable housing, social services, long-term care, daycare has actually become a service in the last year or so that the county has really taken responsibility for, that's funded through different levels of upper government tiers. And then you also have ambulance care as well. And one positive thing that we're seeing on the ambulance care side of things is Orillia actually has one of the best response rates countywide. And so we're seeing in that scenario the city itself benefiting from purchasing a county service because of the county being able to provide a lot more, being a larger entity, being able to provide a lot of these more kind of smaller scale services. But you also have, on the other side of things, long-term care, where Orillia residents are not only being serviced at Trillium Manor in Orillia, but also outside of Orillia as well at some of the different homes throughout the county. And so, the county's relationship, it's very interesting in that we do purchase the services. The county itself provides for our residents, but provides service for Orillia residents, not just within Orillia, but also outside of Orillia as well. Orillia isn't necessarily considered to be part of the county itself. So we're a single tier municipality that purchases certain social services from the county of Simcoe.
Just like the city of Barrie.
Yes, we're exactly the same arrangement to the city of Barrie. The city of Barrie does purchase some additional services that we don't. I believe the airport's included in that and some other services, but generally speaking, those two relationships are very similar. So usually what will happen is we'll get presented some elements of the budget around social services, affordable housing, ambulance care, long-term care. We would review those, and then the county as a whole makes a determination on the budget, and then all of those numbers will get presented to Orillia City Council. My understanding is that the request from last year will be reduced by around $2 million. Now that's very tentative at this point. We don't have a confirmed number, so that might be subject to fluctuate. But my understanding is that has to do with adjustments to how the county is addressing some of the capital debt. Now we're on the tax rate side, that's great. Not yet able to kind of comment on what that looks like in terms of what types of services, and how does that kind of factor in long term? My understanding is that there shouldn't be any significant service implications. One of the big things that we take into consideration at the county level is on the affordable housing front, and really make some big steps in trying to address those issues. So I would say there's certainly opportunities where we could move that a little bit further. There's certain standards in place, and then the county will provide additional services that the city would be supportive of, generally speaking. Usually, what's interesting is we will get presented with a budget number, and it's based on an equation.
The service manager and regional services the county provides, when times are tough, which they are, unfortunately, county services and systems are required even more. And you combine that with the various challenges relating to the current economy matters that we've brought to your attention before with respect to, the post-COVID changes and requirements in our services, debt management related to some of our major directed capital projects. Labor challenges is huge. Relating to some of the economic challenges and the delays related to the very high inflation rates that we couldn't account for at the time through COVID. All of these things are kind of culminating in what I would say is probably one of the hardest budgets that I've had to work on in my time here at the county. All that said, though, I can tell you, and I think that with the financial systems and the budgeting systems, your managers and controllers in place, even though a lot of the budgets are generated by the details in our systems, your staff has spent a significant amount of time trying to make these budgets as efficient as possible. That said, as we go through the process today, please ask questions, and as always, never hesitate to reach out to Trevor or Leland or any of your general managers if you've got any specific questions with respect to the things that we go through today. And I think we'll, at the end of the day, we'll come out with a pretty reasonable approach and a pretty reasonable plan. And we'll talk about some options. So that's kind of where we are. So maybe the first slide. As I said, we're going to go through the departments, and there will be Q&A opportunities at the end of each of those segments. And Trevor's going to start with a little bit of an overview, and then Leland will do the consolidated financial summary, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much, Council, for your attention, and we'll turn it over to Trevor right now.
Good morning, Council. Just one moment here. I'm going to try and get it up in a proper slideshow format. See if that works. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much, Mark, for the introduction, and you can see the agenda that we're going to follow. So I'll start off with an overview. In terms of the budget purpose, as I'm sure Council is already aware, but for the purpose of the public viewing today, our primary purpose is to set out the programs and services provided by the county, their purpose, and their planned costs. This provides a way of us managing our expenditures, forecasting our revenues and the services that we're going to provide, and really facilitating that support and long-term planning that we provide. So we are required to approve a balanced budget each year, prepared in accordance with PSAP accounting rules, which we will get to. That will be an issue this year. So the budget process, as Mark discussed, our departments do develop submissions looking at specific services, the levels that they're providing, and anticipated changes or growth areas, impacts, etc. It goes through a number of iterations within the departments first, then a financial review, to bring it all together in our financial system, and then it's reviewed a few times with the executive management team before it actually gets to you, and then it will be through this process and on to county council. So included in the budget this year are a number of key initiatives in a number of areas. We've got an at-a-glance page that's in the binder or in the deck itself. You can see a few highlights here. Housing focus continues with a number of developments as well as the housing plan. Homelessness, of course, has been a key issue. The continued 10-point strategy continues, as well as supportive housing to try and reduce reliance on homeless shelters, and a system of quality assurance for managing that. CWELC was key for children's services. For paramedic services, we continued implementation of the MPDS system. So the dispatch system for next year, it was implemented this year, it will continue next year. Call volume has been growing. We expect that trend. So we are planning for a 5.7% growth in volume for next year. Long-term care, we continued our staffing needs to meet the 4-hour care target, and a major development in Simcoe Village. In terms of other areas in EPE, there are the usual suspects in terms of major roads projects. There is a significant culvert project in Centerline, or the bridge in Centerline Road over the Mad River, that we will be adding to 2026. A significant issue for solid waste is the Blue Box transition to provincial program, and we'll have more to discuss on that. That was an impact this year. In planning is planning for the construction of the organics transfer station. The Lynx bus has some solar lighting that is planned as well. A couple other smaller things with the museum. The Matthews Innovation Transportation Gallery is continuing, and there is look at developing plans for a sawmill exhibition building. ACDEV continues with the Lake Simcoe Regional Airport implementation of the strategic plan, and looking at a tariff action plan in light of all of the things that are happening related to tariffs. From the corporate performance area, we are launching the new facilities maintenance and development department. That'll launch on January 1st. And then next year, we have planned to update the DC background study and workforce succession planning. So I want to take you through a few indices that are noted in a graph that's in the binder, and these ones really affect us in a couple of ways. In cost ways, we have CPI, which affects a number of different areas differently. We have salary and benefit adjustments that is an internal cost, and then we have our revenue, revenue indices. So I'll go through each one. CPI, you can see we had a big bulge during 2021, 2022. This is growth. So it's not like it's diminished. It's just the growth is diminished. So the growth has come down to close to the levels that ideally we want to see, which is around the 2% mark across Canada. However, it has been affecting some areas differently than others. So, for example, food costs have been a significant impact, while fuel costs have not at this point. A lag with that typically is salary and benefits. So the cost of us, or the amount that we pay to employees, as an example, will often lag inflationary facts. So we'll have inflation, and that will drive the need for increases in salary and benefits. You can see in 2020, we were right in line with inflation, and then lagged for a few years. 2021 was a good year for us in that we were able to manage our benefit costs down. We renegotiated our benefits contract, and we actually got some savings that year. So that's what kept us pretty flat. And then you can see that inflation started catching up with us in the last couple of years, especially, and it continues into 2026, especially with some of the negotiated contracts coming up. So our tax rate increase has followed, but not to the extent of inflation. So we have held below 4% in the last couple of years. We were well below that, and a 0% increase in 2021, and that has caught up with us in terms of a bit of an impact. Another impact is funding that we receive. Now we have, as an example, OW funding increase went up in 2021 after a dip in 2020, but then it's been zero. So that's why there's no columns here. It's been 0% increase, which really means our piece of, and the shared cities piece of the funding for administration goes up. RGI is the same issue. If RGI does not keep pace with inflationary costs that we encounter, then we make up the difference. Similar for long-term care. And the good thing with the gray bars with the long-term care, we did get a good increase in 2024. That did help in terms of making up for that. That was also in line with some of the requirements that long-term care now has to meet that. And so here's the overall picture in terms of where the general indices are. So the challenge we have is that we still have inflationary impacts that are hitting us. And on top of that, we've got some other challenges. So the other challenges that I mentioned, some significant financial impacts. You'll see in the budget this year, we have a blue box transition to the provincial program. And that is removing revenues, but not removing all the costs, because we still have an obligation, and Rob will walk through that in terms of the obligation that solid waste has for taking care of some of that. And there are fixed costs in there that just don't go away. So that's about a $4.2 million impact. We do have some reduced income, which we had enjoyed previously with the higher interest rates. They are coming down, so that we anticipate about a $1.9 million lower income, partly also because we are spending that money. We're spending money on the projects that we have in the go. We've got our build that we've done in Orillia for social housing. We've got another one that started in Barrie, and we also have our long-term care facilities in Simcoe Village. We also have a fully funded asset management fund now that per direction of council, we've put the 2% related to that, $4.7 million towards our asset management fund, which you approved earlier in the year. IT has seen significant costs, and this is not just us, this is across the board from all of the other municipalities that I've been speaking to. We've seen significant increases, more than double-digit increases in some of the IT costs, especially for software this year. And I wanted to call that out as a specific increase because it was so significant. And then we have added in a phase-in for debt payments. We will be incurring debt. As I mentioned, the good thing is rates are coming down now, so our timing is pretty reasonable. We will be starting with some debt related to the build in Orillia. That will hit us in 2026. And then the other developments that come online after that will impact us. Another impact related to that, which I'll get back to at the end of the presentation, is the change in the DC funding for not funding social housing has impacted us to the tune of about $90 million. That's just for the county impact. So that's basically more debt than that we didn't anticipate needing. So for this year, though, that's impact totals about $17 million. And that is why when you look at the snapshot of where we're at, our operating balance is showing a negative for the budget for this year. So we will be addressing this and discussing our options around that. But first, we'll go through the details of the budget, and then we'll come back to that at the end of the presentations. Thank you very much. This is going to be the list of departments that will be coming up, and I just wanted to show that so that we queue those up. And I will stop sharing now. Over to you, Warden. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Trevor at this point before we get into the budget? I'm not seeing any pop up. So with that, why don't we do the social and community services with General Manager Fayez Baguette? It's about a half. I'll get to you, James. It's a half-hour video. Then we'll take a break, and then we'll have General Manager St. Clair, and then the city reps can leave after that as we continue the rest of our budget. Councillor Duke, I saw your hand go up.
Yes, thank you, Warden. You can hear me, right? I put the headphones on. Okay,
yes.
Good. Quick question to Trevor then. So that overall generalized budget, you said the council supported 2% asset management plan. Is that asset management plan to recover our assets, to build our assets out for 10 years? Is that a 10-year plan? Trevor, I can't remember when we did that. So that's one question. Is that a 10-year plan, or what's the plan for the asset management? And the other one is, what's the COLA built into the non-union side of the business? What's our COLA? We have COLA in here. I was looking through it, so I couldn't find the actual COLA number for 2026. Can you provide those two answers? Thanks.
Trevor.
Thank you very much, through you, Your Worship. Yes, the asset management plan is in line with the 10-year asset management plan that we presented earlier in the year, so that is correct. The COLA that we built the budget on is 3% for 2026.
Okay. I'm not seeing any further questions. So with that, General Manager Fayez Baguette, whenever you're ready, Mina.
The 2026 budget. Social and community services. The Social and Community Services Division is comprised of 5 departments: Community Support and Wellbeing, formerly known as Ontario Works; Early Learning and Childcare System Management, formerly known as Children's Services; Community Partnerships, Policy and Business Intelligence; Community Housing, formerly known as Social Housing; and Housing and Homelessness, formerly known as Community Services. I will briefly provide an overview of each of the 5 departments, including each service area. The Community Support and Wellbeing Department provides income and life stability support through the Ontario Works program, the mandatory discretionary benefits programs, delivery of the Housing Retention Program, and the Emergency Social Services programming. In addition, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department oversees the Heart of Simcoe County initiative. This is the new Heart Hub program. The department leads up the primary partners in planning, implementing, and evaluating the program as it's delivered. The Early Learning and Childcare System Management Department is the legislated service system manager for the childcare and early learning services. This includes the early learning years, such as the licensed childcare programs, including the rollout of the Canada-wide Early Learning Childcare Program and the Fee Subsidy Program. The department is also responsible for the early on child and family centers, special needs resourcing, and the supportive relationship and learning programs. The Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence Department has 3 service areas: Business Intelligence and System Planning, Policy Development, and Community Partnerships, which includes the Local Immigration Partnership. The Community Housing Department is responsible for the Simcoe County Housing Corporation, which is the locally operated corporation that provides rent-geared to income housing. The Housing and Homelessness Department is comprised of 2 main service areas: the Social Housing Nonprofit System, which provides oversight to the nonprofit affordable housing providers, the Affordable Housing Strategy implementation, the oversight of the centralized waitlist, and the program delivery for numerous different rent supplement programs. The second area of service the department is responsible for is the Regional Homelessness Prevention and Support Service System. The county is the legislated federal and provincial service system manager for both areas. In the next few slides, I will discuss our 2025 accomplishments for each of our 4 departments. In 2025, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department advanced health access through strategic partnerships. Specifically at the Orillia SCS campus, services at the Social and Community Services Health Care Clinic were expanded with the Huronia Nurse Practitioner-led clinic, adding a registered nurse and a mental health professional to advance patient care. In Barrie, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department supported the growth of the Compassionate Care Without Barriers program. This is a barrier-free primary care clinic for marginalized individuals. A funding agreement was enabled increased capacity, including the addition of a physician. Additionally, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department continued to prioritize community-based services delivered by embedding Ontario caseworkers in accessible locations such as food banks, gender-based violence shelters, public libraries, and emergency shelters, to name a few. There was over 40 different locations where Ontario caseworkers are now working to ensure that their support for their clients is made available when and where they are needed the most. The department also strengthened its partnerships with Employment Ontario through a new integrated case management model. Staff from both programs now work within each other's offices, fostering collaboration and providing more holistic support to clients, making the county the first service manager to implement this provincial requirement. In 2025, the department also achieved a significant milestone of fully integrating centralized intake. This transition involved shifting all initial eligibility assessments and social assistance determinations to the province, while pivoting to a partner-based service delivery model. Finally, in 2025, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department provided strategic leadership and oversight for the Heart of Simcoe County initiative. This is a 3-year multi-sector partnership delivering integrated, culturally safe, and locally tailored mental health and addiction services for individuals experiencing homelessness. The Community Safety and Wellbeing Department led primary partners through the planning and implementation phases, successfully launching full service delivery in 2025. The team continues to provide administrative, consultative, and strategic oversight to ensure the initiative's ongoing success. Again, making the County of Simcoe the only service manager in Ontario to launch its Heart Hub and open and operate it. 2025 is the 4th year of the implementation of the Canada-wide Early Learning Childcare Program. This year included the rollout of the new cost-based funding model and the creation of 1,918 new CWELC spaces. To date, 3,869 CWELC spaces have been created, of the 4,995 to be created by the end of 2026. The Child Care Fee Subsidy team continues to work with families in financial need who require assistance with the cost of childcare. The team also continues to work towards stabilization of the licensed childcare system in response to the significant system transformation, while simultaneously focusing on workforce development strategies and the capacity building opportunities for those working in the early years sector. In collaboration with the Business Intelligence Team, 2025 recognized the rollout of the new 5-year service system plan and the launch of a new open data set dashboard that further enhances the data-informed decision-making. The Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence Department gained national recognition for innovative dashboards that are tracking homelessness, housing affordability, and early learning childcare services. The department continues to be recognized with the HIFIS Data Quality Award for the 4th year in a row. In 2025, the department strengthened data governance by training, launching an internet site, and publishing most HIFIS learning modules, and introducing a downtime protocol to ensure uninterrupted reporting. The department also delivered high-impact projects and built capacity from monthly KPI reporting for shelters to new data literacy work led by the division. Additionally, the department advanced evaluation and analytics by designing a Heart Hub outcome framework, creating SCIF performance tools, and planning the community safety and well-being data acquisition with a third-party data provider. Finally, the Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence Department developed a fee subsidy new predictive dashboard with the help of ITS to support the Early Learning Childcare System Service Management team in balancing their budget and creating planning for the future. In 2025, the Community Housing Department has been able to complete its Orillia development as it finished the commercial space on the 2nd floor as well as in the basement. There is an added demand for space to be developed to provide additional services as well as commercial rent revenue. The Community Housing Department also fully completed the Bradford Affordable Housing Development, welcoming 50 households, as well as the Simcoe County District School Board and the Community Support and Wellbeing teams as new commercial tenants. Construction has started at 20 Rose Street with the focus on the parking lot and commercial office structure first. By the end of 2025, the foundation and underground works will be completed and the precast floors will be underway. Construction has also started at 29 and 45 Birch Street in Collingwood. This work began with the demolition being completed in September of 2025. Pending permits, underground services will begin in late 25, and the aim to have prefabricated modules will be arriving and installed in April of 2026. The Community Housing Department was also able to pilot several garden suite designs in Midland alongside secondary suites for rapid unit creation at a much lower cost per rate. This multi-year project will continue to focus on lot infill on existing properties. The Community Housing Department, through its housing programs team, continue to develop and engage with nonprofit housing providers on new opportunities to partner to increase the affordable housing supply. The community housing team within the department also is focused on tenant engagement and remains working closely on the housing portfolio. There are numerous new exciting partnerships with agencies led by the TN staff who are tasked with bringing services into buildings particularly for those families and seniors. Finally, the Community Housing Department also launched its first furniture bank out of 250 West Street to assist struggling families with furniture and other household items. In 2025, the Housing and Homelessness Department collaborated with the Community Housing Department to procure and set up 3 new modular structures for supportive rapid rehousing programs and encampment response and winter warming strategies. The Housing and Homelessness Department established real-time data and transparency by promoting evidence-based decisions with up-to-date housing data and a set of new publicly available dashboards. Additionally, the Housing and Homelessness Department procured a county-wide assertive outreach regional provider to enhance collaboration and provide an integrated client transportation program to reach street-involved individuals. The Homelessness and Housing Department refined and centralized the Temporary Family Shelter Program, previously known as the Motel Voucher Program, to ensure fiscal sustainability and responsiveness to participant needs. The department enhanced core programs within social and affordable housing, ensuring delivery and including the expanding of rent supplements and supportive housing programs. Finally, the Housing and Homelessness Department began the governance of the expiring agreements for end-of-term operating and mortgage agreements for the nonprofit sector while ensuring compliance and strategic renewals are completed on time. I will now discuss the 2026 key initiatives and budget highlights. Community support and well-being. In 2026, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department will focus on enhancing existing services, strengthening its partnerships, and expanding cross-sector collaboration to better serve our communities holistically. The department will continue to grow its collaborative healthcare clinic model, increasing access to both primary care and mental health services for vulnerable populations across Simcoe County. Planning for the new clinic within the Rose Street Social Services Hub will also be a key focus, targeting implementation in 2027. Through deeper engagement with community-based organizations, the department aims to co-create innovative, locally tailored supports that reflect the unique needs of individuals. A key focus will be developing pathways and exploring opportunities towards self-sufficiency for individuals who have been accessing social services for 5 years or more. With the Temporary Family Shelter Program, previously known as the MVP program, now aligned under the Community Support and Wellbeing portfolio, the department will focus on streamlining access to housing stability supports, including the Housing Retention Fund. This work will ensure a more coordinated and accessible system for those experiencing housing instability. In 2026, the Community Support and Wellbeing Department will enter Year 2 of the Heart of Simcoe County initiative. It will continue to build and expand programs and services, broaden service delivery across the county, and pursue opportunities for growth. Service enhancements will be guided by data-informed decision-making, ensuring responsiveness and measurable impact. The Community Support and Wellbeing 2026 budget highlights are as follows. Overall, there will be an operating balance decrease of $19,000. Revenue is expected to increase by $15.6 million, primarily due to 2 factors: an increase in overall OW caseload from 7,050 in 2025 to 8,107 in 2026, which is fully funded through the provincial program. Secondly, the introduction of the Homelessness and Addiction Recovery Treatment, the Heart Hub program, is also 100% funded from the province. Expenses are also projected to increase to $15.6 million, reflecting the same drivers: the expanded OW caseload, which requires additional resources and services, the operational costs associated with launching the Heart Hub, both of which are fully funded, Additionally, administrative costs have been reduced by $1 million year over year as the 2025 budget included a one-time allocation for furniture and equipment at the new Barrie Social and Community Services Office, which is not required to be repeated in 2026. Early learning and childcare system management. The 2026 key initiatives and focus areas for the Early Learning and Childcare System Management Department begin with creating the remaining 1,126 Canada-wide early learning childcare spaces, also known as CWIL, to reach the 5-year target of 4,995 spaces by December 31st, 2026. 2026 will also mark the second year of the implementation of the cost-based funding model for all CWIL sites that took effect on January 1st in 2025. In 2026, a new requirement for third-party audits will also take effect, the cost of which will be covered by the CWIL funding program. As the Early Learning and Childcare Department continues to support childcare service providers through this sector transformation, they will also maintain funding and support for early on child and family programs. The department awaits a further information from the Ministry of Education on the timing of the additional reduction to childcare fees, originally anticipated in 2026. Finally, the Early Learning and Childcare Department will continue to focus on workforce stabilization and capacity building for all programs. The Early Learning and Childcare System Management Department's 2026 budget highlights are as follows. Overall, there is a zero increase in the operating balance. Revenue is increasing by $53,000 primarily due to the increase in federal CWIL funding, which offsets a decrease in startup grants. This change is fully funded. Additionally, there's an increase in the transfer from reserves of $220,000. These reserve funds represent municipal savings from prior years, specifically from the transitional grants which were allocated at the beginning of the CWIL program. These were intentionally placed into reserve to help offset future budget pressures. This transfer helps mitigate the needs for the municipal increase in 2026. On the expense side, there is an increase of $53,000, which mirrors the revenue change. This again is due to the adjustment in the federal CWIL funding, offsetting the reduction in the startup grants, and is fully funded. Overall, the budget reflects a stable operating position, with strategic use of reserves and the continued support of the federal funded program. Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence. 2026, the Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence Department's key initiatives and focus areas include the expansion of its nationally recognized dashboards and the launching of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Data Acquisition Strategy. The department will complete the SCIF Outcomes project by finalizing the performance tools to show measurable community impact. Also, the Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence Department will strengthen data quality in contracts, ensuring HIFIS and HPP reporting meet provincial standards and address data variancy risks. Finally, the department will implement new coordinated access products, finalizing the prioritization report, and aligning HIFIS fields with the approved community approach. These initiatives will keep the Social and Community Services Division at the forefront of data-driven decision-making and community impact. The 2026 Community Partnerships Policy and Business Intelligence Department's budget highlights are as follows. The 2026 operating budget reflects an increase in the operating balance of $554,000. Revenue is projected to increase by $950,000 primarily due to two factors. The addition of the Interim Housing Assistance Program, a federally funded program, and one full-time equivalent FTE position, which is fully funded through new additional OV provincial dollars. Expenses are expected to increase by $1.5 million, driven by the implementation of the IHAP federal program with one-time operating costs and contributing matching dollars, and the additional 3.8 FTEs in the 2026 budget. These FTEs include the following. One FTE for a Community Partnership Policy and Business Intelligence Director, which was previously approved in 2025 by Council as a part of the restructuring of the Housing Department's centralized facilities and maintenance services. One FTE for a Program Coordinator, which is fully funded by the IHAP program. One FTE for the Project Supervisor, which is fully funded through the provincial dollars, and 0.8 FTE for a part-time manager, which is partially funded from previous Community Safety and Wellbeing operating dollars. Overall, the budget reflects a strategic investment and utilizes the new federal and provincial dollars that offset 2.5 out of the 3.8 positions being presented in the budget. Community housing. The Community Housing Department's 2026 key initiatives and focus areas are as follows. The Community Housing Department continues to expand its capital and asset management strategy and will be introducing one more engineer to support the asset management and city-wide activities in 2026. The Community Housing Department will continue to grow the supportive resident program with a focus on achieving more long-term housing outcomes in 2026. Also, the department will continue its mixed income model at designated buildings. In 2026, the department will also continue to work on the following affordable housing development projects. In Barrie, 20 Rose Street will focus on the parking structure in commercial offices with a plan to have it ready in 2027. In Collingwood, the Birch Street modular affordable housing development will be completed in the summer of 2026. In Wasaga Beach, the design work for Phase 2 of the Zoo Park Department will be presented to Council in 2026. In Penetanguishene, the completion of the third floor addition, creating 11 more units, will be complete in 2026. This project will also include a deep energy retrofit and create 2 elevators being the first in the Midland Penetanguishene area. And finally, the Community Housing Development Department will continue progress on its garden suites and secondary suites infills in the scattered house family units in Midland. Through the SCHC development team, the Community Housing Department's 2026 capital program includes several major projects with some highlighted here. The modernization of the SCHC application process and the online services through a new core county software will be completed in 2026. The completion of 1 Blake Street Phase 2 kitchens will also be completed in 2026. Replacement of roofs, eaves, and soffits at Blake Street townhomes will also be completed in the same year. Additional garden and secondary suites in conjunction with foundation repairs at the family units are all slated to be completed as well in 2026. The Matthew Way Townhouse Complex domestic water piping system replacement and corridor upgrades will also be completed this year. 7th Lane domestic repiping will also be completed, and finally 407 Midland Avenue's electric upgrades and site exterior upgrades will also be slated to be completed in 2026. The 2026 budget highlights for the Community Housing Department are as follows. There will be an operating balance increase of $2 million, reflecting our debt financing costs and continued commitment to financial stability and service enhancement. This is supported by a revenue increase of $2.4 million, driven by 3 factors. First, we anticipate additional rental income as the Collingwood Affordable Housing Development becomes fully operational partway through the 2026 year. Second, there will be an increase transferred from reserves to support the ongoing operating and maintenance cost in the aging supply of the RGI housing stock. And third, we are introducing property management services within the community housing portfolio, which is to strengthen our operational capacity and tenant support aligned with the new sites being opened and fully operationalized in 2026. These changes position us well to meet our growing community needs while maintaining fiscal responsibility. The Community Housing Department in 2026 is expecting an increase in expenses of $4.4 million due to the following factors. First, the additional facility costs for the Collingwood Affordable Housing Development, as well as the increased cost in the existing stocks maintenance expenses. Second, the additional debt servicing costs for the Barrie Affordable Housing Development, which is in its first phase of 3, and the Collingwood Affordable Housing Development. Third, 3 FTEs in the 2026 budget, of which are broken down as follows. 1 temporary supervisor for property management, which is fully funded at 100%. 1 maintenance and facilities asset management FTE, which is also funded at 100%. And 1 building superintendent, which is not funded. Additionally, in 2025, there was 4.5 FTEs approved by Council in year, of which included the following. 2 temporary property management FTEs to take on a nonprofit provider. This is 100% funded. 1 construction supervisor, which is charged to our development and capital budget. 1.5 FTEs transferred from the housing and homelessness team due to a realignment from the facilities and maintenance department through a reorganization. These are the factors that are causing the $4.4 million increase in expenses. The Community Housing Department's 2026 capital expenses will increase by $18 million. The increases in capital expenses is driven primarily by the Barrie Affordable Housing Development as it enters its first full year of construction. The overall 2026 capital expense breakdown is as follows. Barrie's facility projects, $4.2 million. Software implementation for the community waitlist, $100,000. Affordable housing developments are as follows. The Barrie development at Rose Street, $62.9 million. The Collingwood development at Birch Street, $8.7 million. The Penetang development at Harriet Street, $3.3 million. Housing and Homelessness Services. The Housing and Homelessness Department's 2026 key initiatives and focus areas are as follows. The department will continue to advance the county's 10-point homelessness and prevention strategy. This includes expanding rapid rehousing through bridge housing programs like the 40-bed modular at Tiffin Street and increasing the rent subsidy programs to create more supportive housing and housing stability in general. For shelters and outreach, the department will be establishing standardized governance and delivery models across the emergency shelter and assertive outreach programs to ensure consistency and quality of care. For the encampment response, a coordinated intermunicipal system is being developed for compassionate encampment response, including tracking and collaborative engagement, as well as creating space-activated results in short periods of time. Finally, for the community safety teams, they'll continue to operate in the 4 areas and provide crisis response, cleanup, data tracking, and community engagement services. All these initiatives reflect the commitment to a compassionate, data-informed, and collaborative approach to the homelessness prevention programs here at the County of Simcoe. Housing and Homelessness Department's 2026 key initiatives for the affordable housing team are as follows. The team will continue implementing the 10-year housing and homelessness plan. This is a strategy designed to foster multi-sector collaboration and align our efforts with both regional and provincial policy priorities. It's a roadmap for inclusive housing solutions across Simcoe County. The department will also continue delivering key municipal funded programs, including the capital loans for providers, second suite development, and the rent subsidy programs. These programs are essential tools to increasing affordable housing stock and supporting residents in maintaining stable housing. The department will be proactively developing new services and exit agreements for housing providers whose contracts are nearing expiration. This ensures continuity of service and compliance with the evolving standards. Finally, the department will be pursuing new partnerships for joint affordable housing development, expanding the capacity to meet the growing demand. In 2026, we'll also see the continued delivery of key federal and provincial programs, including the Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative. This will be year 8 of the program. The Canada-Ontario Housing Initiative. This is also in year 8. The Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit, which is entering year 6. These programs remain a vital tool for fund and a funding model for our service delivery. Together, these initiatives reflect the commitment to building a resilient, responsive housing system that meets the needs of our communities today and into the future. The Community Housing and Homelessness Department's 2026 budget highlights are as follows. There will be an operating balance increase of $668,000. This is due to a revenue increase of $12.5 million due to the increased funding allocations in the Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative, the Canada-Ontario Community Housing Initiative, and the Reaching Home program. There's also a net decrease in service manager federal funding and a decrease in transfer from reserve to the county portion of the provider loans that are coming to an end. The expense increase of $13.2 million is due to the following. There's an increased funding allocation in the Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative, the Canada-Ontario Community Housing Initiatives, the Reaching Home program, the nonprofit provider loans, the Municipal Rent Supplement Program, and the Housing Opportunities Fund. Commercial rent supplement programs have been transferred from the Community Housing to the Housing and Homelessness Department due to a 2025 reorganization of both teams. The Housing and Homelessness 2026 budget highlights do demonstrate an expense increase of $13.2 million due to the following. 3.0 FTEs in the 2026 budget, of which 1 FTE for a program supervisor that is 100% funded, and 2 FTEs for program coordinators, which are also 100% funded due to the new provincial and federal revenues received. The net capital increase for the 2026 is $0. The 2 capital projects in 2026, the Blake Street project and the Tiffin Street project, are 100% funded for both. Please let me know if you have any further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just wait till we get the screen down. Barrie Mayor Nuttall, I missed your hand earlier. I understood you had your hand up after Trevor's overview. Do you have a question? Yes, go ahead.
I can just wait till the end. I think it's probably better I wait till the end. That's fine.
Okay, so do I have any questions here for Mina? You seen any, Jonathan? I haven't got everybody on screen, so I'm just... Councillor Fallis.
Thanks very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. So I had a couple of questions that came up, both from the video and reading over notes. and hoping Mina can respond to some of these. So it'll just take me a minute here. I wondered right off the bat, just if Mina might be able to respond to there's, and I think you brought it up there, the IHAP program, Interim Housing Assistance Program. Could Mina maybe provide a little bit more detail there? It sounded as if it was federally funded, and maybe just an explanation in terms of what that program provides would be helpful. And I do have one or two more questions after that.
General Manager.
Thank you, Warden Clark. Through you, so Councillor Fallis, the IHAP program is a federally funded program through the IRCC. It is a temporary program where they assist folks who are seeking asylum or are already in the country seeking like a different status. The program that we got funded for is a 2-year program. With the majority of the funding, it was a $4.4 million funding pocket, and around 3.6 was allocated to a capital acquisition of a property in Bradford, and then the additional amounts were just to operate the program for the 18 months that was required in the program file, and then thereafter the asset is free and clear for us to use for affordable housing.
Okay, carry on, Councillor.
Thanks very much. Two other questions I had. One was, I guess, a statement with a question. Goes without saying, I'm sure everyone knows, I'm always really supportive of exploring other or additional affordable housing opportunities. And one I'm really excited about is the secondary suites and garden suites program that the county's dipping their toe into. And I'm curious if at a later date we'll have an opportunity, obviously not this budget cycle, but in future budgets, if we'll have an opportunity to look at expanding that program if it's successful, and we're seeing that the overall capital and possibly operating costs are lower than average. That was question one. And so I'll let Mina speak to that one. The other question was action-oriented case conferencing table. I noticed there were 2 requests for positions. Maybe if Mina could provide a little bit more explanation in terms of what that table will be doing, what actions will they be undertaking. So I'll turn it over to Mina again. Thanks.
Go ahead, Mina.
Through you, Warden Clark. So Councillor Fallis, for the first question, the secondary suites that we're using Garden Suite, the Garden Suite pilot in our single family homes portfolio. This is to, as you know, to intensify units of affordability in our single family homes, which is the urban native legacy portfolio. There will be an opportunity to review the competition that we're completing. So what we did is we tendered a competition between and tried to select 3 different products. And then we're trying to measure the quality and use and sustainability of those products before we decide whether or not to roll it out on a broader scale. So there'll be a part of that measuring and evaluating components that will certainly have involvement from the Affordable Housing Committee, as well as our 10-year affordable housing and homelessness prevention strategy has a component in there that actually flags us continuing to explore these types of innovative solutions to create quick, affordable housing at low cost. So the long answer is yes, that's coming. The timing of it will be after the competition is complete. And once we install the 3 and begin to evaluate it, then the next step will be then to decide how do we scale this up if we do find that it's something worthwhile to do to create more affordable housing and it meets the targets of our strategy. On the second question, so the the case conferencing table is for coordinated access to services. So part of our role as a system service manager when we're engaging those who are experiencing homelessness and offering them different housing solutions, we have to do it in a prioritized way based on our community prioritization strategy. And often for the past, we have contracted this case coordinated access service out to a third party. We were able to negotiate with the federal government an opportunity to use the funding directly to create these two positions and bring it in-house. So that way we can fully control the outcome of how the prioritization meets the standards set by the community. And then we set up tables across the county where that where those who are helping assist and support people to get housed are bringing the prioritized cases to that table for review before placement is done. What that means is we're basically trying to ensure that those who need the housing the most get it the first, get it in priority of order, and doing that in-house rather than having a two-step process that results in a long lag between someone coming out of homelessness and being placed into a housing resource or a housing outcome. So this will make the systems considerably more efficient. It's based on best practices. And when we made the case to the federal government, they strongly agreed with this approach.
Okay, Councillor Leduc.
Yes, thank you, Warden. I was just going to ask Mina to explain his hires. He's got a community partnership and policy and business intelligence, 3.8 hires there looking for permanent requests. That has an impact of $361,000 to the budget. And then the other two for community housing, which has $63,000 impact to the budget. So wondering, can you give me a bit of explanation on the 3.8 and the two? Why there was one in there, you said two of them were 100% funded, one was not funded. Can you make sure, I guess my next question is, 100% funded means funded by provincial programs and not to the taxpayer? So I just need to know three questions. The 3.8 required for community policy, I'm just not sure about what they do. So
go ahead, General Manager.
Through you, Warden Clark. Councillor Leduc, the 3.8 in that one department is a combination of different things happening. If you recall, in 2025, Council approved the creation of a position, a director position, in order to centralize our facilities maintenance and development department into a corporate FM department that would be responsible for all assets across the county in terms of all the housing assets and all the corporately held assets, as well as the development of future assets and the current development strategies. So part of that restructuring and reorganization, our division contributed a position over to hit the ground running in terms of a director of facilities maintenance and development. And in that result, we, rather than have the corporate performance department create the director position, we're creating it in the 2026 budget. So it's really a one-for-one swap. The second one, so on paper, it does show as an increase, but it is because there's also an in-year decrease that happened in 2025. The other position is 0.8. It's a part-time manager that's funded. This is the community safety and well-being plans that we're tasked to do provincially across the county. We have 5 plans in place. Those plans, if you recall, have been refreshed at each of your municipalities and towns. And it's also aligned now with the city of Barrie's plan, as we use the same consultant for all 6 plans here in our region. That being said, rather than rely on a third-party consultant, we're trying to bring it in-house, again, to find some efficiencies there. So that's why there is a partial opportunity of offset funding. This doesn't show on the position in the budget because it is us picking up the position, whereas the consulting dollars are in a different division and will not be used anymore. So there's the offset there, but it doesn't demonstrate it as an FTE offset because the FTE never existed before. So for those two, that's what you're seeing. The third one is a coordinator position in this department. And really that's a coordinator for the new IHAP program that we got federal funding for. At the time of the writing of the budget and publishing it, that position was not funded. It now is, as we got confirmation about a week and a half ago from the federal government that they would allow us to fund that one as well. So those are the ones that have what would demonstrate a not being funded, meaning on the tax levy. In terms of the housing component for community housing, the one superintendent that's not funded is a growth perspective as we've opened, 2 buildings, Orillia and now Bradford. And then we know that Birch Street will be opening in the summer of 2025. So this is the superintendent for the 3rd new building, as well as the assets that we acquired in year, which is the Tiffin Street paramedicine station that we're now converting to a 40-unit modular facility to address homelessness and encampment responses. So this superintendent resource would be serving the new assets coming on board in 2026.
Just to follow up, Warden.
Yes.
You talked about one of these positions being funded through the IHAP funding. Is that not a term funding? Is that not limited to a term? That's not permanent funding, is it?
Mina?
Through you, Warden Clark, yes, that's correct. It's a 2-year funding pocket where we can fund the coordination of the building and services. And then thereafter, once it becomes an affordable housing program that's revenue generating, meaning collecting rent, that position could be absorbed by those new operating dollars that we create through the revenue generating program.
Okay, do I have any other? Yes, go ahead, James. Another one?
No, I was just going to say thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, members of council?